Why for so long do you think the Rastafari community was like ostracized in Jamaica? I know you were talking about you weren't allowed to get locks until you turned 18 years old because your family wanted to protect you in that way.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
It was a part of the plan. It wasn't by chance. You know what is Rastafari?
Tell me.
Rastafari is one of the most powerful movements in this world. Look at what the music has done. Rastafari has created one of the largest political parties around the world by virtue of how many people relate and invest in that. But it's like we keep on partying. Reggae music, as a child of Rastafari, has liberated so many countries. Here the ones in South Africa tell you that when they were marching through the streets and they were fighting against apartheid, it was Bob Marley's songs that they were using in the streets. That's just one country. There have been many. That is what Rastafari represents. African liberation, my sister. African liberation. Black people liberation. Humanity liberation. Step beyond the color. Human beings. That is why we were ostracized for so long.
Okay. Okay, welcome back to another episode of In We Blood, the podcast that's dedicated to help reignite an appreciation for Caribbean culture and traditions. Today, I have with me a very special guest, filmmaker, activist, speaker, and granddaughter of Bob Marley, Donisha Prendergast. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me too. And I want to do a big shout out to my grandma, Rita Marley, because
and Rita
often,
Marley.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a thing. But within this time, we're bringing more visibility to the feminine energy, the balance. It's very important for the full context of the story.
But let's talk about that. I know a lot of people would probably ask you about, your grandfather, but what was your grandmother's impact on your life or maybe your outlook?
Huge. Everything. The way I speak, the way I walk, the confidence that I have, even elements of my style, my swag.
So did you grow up with your grandmother?
Very, very closely.
Yeah.
Very, very close. I'm my grandmother's eldest grandchild, and I'm also a girl. So I'm very close to my grandma's youngest daughter. We're close in age, so we grew up, pretty similarly.
Nice. Yeah. And so the One Love movie is coming out very soon. How would you say your grandfather's One Love legacy impacted you?
It's a very dynamic question at this time. Well, first, I want to say in a very big way, naturally, because he's all over the world, the whole world sings One Love. But when I got into the deeper element of what he was speaking about, and not just him, what Marcus Garvey was speaking about, who is the one who first said one love within the context of one God, one aim, one destiny, one love for us all. It was a repetition for African liberation.
Okay.
So for me today, the context of one love is so much more full than just what we have been able to glean from it, from my grandfather's song. And even how the song has been commercialized. Okay. I feel like it's important for us. Oh, there we go.
I didn't even notice it was going.
Yeah, guys, that's us working with the energy around us, But yeah, just so that we're a little bit more clear. Thank you, Ja. One love was first said by Marcus Garvey within the context of African liberation. And I think it's important for us who remember this and know this to continue to keep this within context so that our story doesn't flutter away from us while we try to bring more context to it.
Okay. One of the things that I heard you saying was that reggae music started out with Black people and singing about oppression and stuff, but now it's no longer just about the skin tone or...
No, it's no longer just about the skin tone per se, because humanity is dealing with a thing. All of us are dealing with the same thing right now. Look at what is going on between Israel and Palestine. Mm-hmm. Somebody messaged me on social media recently and said to me, why is the Rastafari community so silent within this time? I never thought about it, because I have spoken out about it in different ways, but it's such a heavy thing to navigate, because guess what? Like, there's been a genocide happening in the Congo for many, many years. Look at what they've been doing to Haiti, and still to this day. So Israel and Palestine is a fight that, yes, we must be a part of, being vocal about being and doing the right thing. And in the same breath, holding ourselves accountable to the other things that are happening that are also very relevant to us. Mm-hmm. Not just because it's a passing fad. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. One of the things that we were chatting about before we started recording, I was talking to you about I, and I was asking you, I was like, why do Rastas say I and I? I would love for you to explain that again for the audience.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rastafari, we, as a part of our conscious and intentional liberation from this colonial inheritance that has been forced upon us, mm-hmm. we want to change our language. Okay. Which is why we say things like overstand, mm-hmm. instead of understand, mm-hmm. or we understand. Mm-hmm. We don't really say celebration even. We say I liberation. It's like, the prefix is changed to I. Mm-hmm. So when we say I and I, it means I and I. Okay. Recognize each other as one. Mm-hmm. It also means I and I, mm-hmm. the greater one.
Because I heard you saying that spirituality is not individuality. And when you said that, it really resonated with me, because I never thought about it like that. And it's like, I think a lot of times we don't recognize how connected all of us are.
Yeah. In a huge way.
Yeah.
In a huge way. People always say, oh, the world is so small whenever coincidences or synchronicities happen. No, the world is so small. Guys, have you traveled the world? This world is not small. Mm. It's really energy. Mm-hmm. I believe it must be energy.
I agree.
That connects us.
I agree. And I think that's why sometimes, like, people will say, like, oh, my spirit doesn't take to somebody, or my spirit, like, it's like, I feel like I know you. I feel like it has a lot to do with that energy and that click that you would feel with somebody as soon as you meet them.
Yeah, always. I can hear you guys tiptoeing around the whole
squeaky toes.
You guys are so funny. We have a whole little audience right here who are listening and tuning in. Production. So, yeah. Spirituality, I mean, we are all bits and pieces of the same whole, trying to become whole again. Mm-hmm. So think about it in that way.
One of the ways that I saw somebody explain, and it was so interesting to me, is that they had an image of, like, somebody's hand, and they're saying, like, we all think that we're separated, but we're all connected to the same one thing, you know? And it's like, I think when we start to think more about our connection to one another, more than you're separate from me and I'm separate from you, I think we'll start to see, maybe more of this one love kind of stuff happen throughout the world. Because at the end of the day, I always say it's one God, same thing, one love, right?
But until people can feel more safe with each other and even with ourselves, the idea of one love is really just an idea. Mm-hmm. And that's just me being very honest. Mm-hmm. We have to create safe spaces for others and for ourselves. If we can't find a safe space, create one. The whole world needs to heal right now. Mm-hmm. That really is the truth.
Mm-hmm. What would some of those safe spaces look like for you if you could see them?
Oh, I'm into creating safe spaces. Mm-hmm. Like this event that we're doing in celebration of my grandfather it's a safe space for us to explore his legacy beyond the celebrity, for us to gather and rub shoulders and share energy and that kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. We're living in Toronto right now. It's so hard to find that kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. We need more of that so that we can feel whole again. And I think this is also for me. I'm living here now. Mm-hmm. So for me, if you can't find a safe space, create one.
One of the things that my friend who's a therapist always promotes and always talks about, she always says, healing does not ever happen on an individual level. It always happens in community. And like the power of coming together in community to create those healing spaces is like what we need more of. She's very passionate about like healing and sisterhood specifically.
Yeah.
And so I love to see when people are, you know, creating these spaces. I think with this podcast, I've almost like created like a digital space.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
You have. Like
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier, I couldn't remember why I knew your name, but it's because I've shared your podcast before.
And when you said that to me, I was like, no, but it's just exciting to know, like we were talking about, like when you do something from your heart and it's like from a real place, and for that resonance to be felt, right? And for people to interact or engage with it in a way, and like their heart feels it too. Because like I was saying, sometimes it's like you can feel when somebody's doing something in service to themselves versus when they're doing it in service like to their community or the masses, right?
On a mission.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so that's why, you know, I love what you're doing with One Love in Action. And I know that you have a different series of activations. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Sure. So I'll start with the top. I've been doing advocacy and community work for the past 10, 15 years. And a lot of the time I rebelled against the idea of having to create an organization to do good in the world.
Okay.
Why do I have to pay taxes to do good? I just want to do good. Like, why do I need to explain to somebody what I'm doing? I just want to do good. But now I'm older and I understand, okay, this is the language of the world. Okay, no problem. It doesn't change who I am, or okay, cool. Let's just do what needs to be done on paper so we can do what needs to be done for the world.
Yeah.
That's all. So Humanity Over Vanity functions to do this, dare I say, rebellious work, specifically for our community, because we're talking about creating new models of existence that are culturally immersed and informed. You know, like coming to Canada, there's so many different labels that are put on me now. I'm now an immigrant. I'm now Black. I have to check that box. But like, nobody acknowledge there's so much more than that. You know, like, what do you mean I'm an immigrant? Like, didn't we all move from somewhere to come somewhere else? Isn't that how human beings have been doing it for the whole history of humanity? So I rebel against that idea, number one. And number two, Black, I don't identify with just Black. I am an indigenous person. I have an indigenous culture. I don't have no space to tick that box here. I am a Rasta woman. I'm not just a Black woman in North America. There are different nuances that are misunderstood and misrepresented with just one box. So the work that we're trying to do is to create more space and insight into the diversity of who we are, because even between our Black communities, we still misunderstand each other. There's so much that we still don't know, you know? So it's not no hard thing we're trying to do. We're just trying to live and feel free.
Yeah.
Yeah, and build community.
Yeah. One of the things that I heard you talking about in one of your interviews is like some of the, I guess, division that happens, because within, and maybe you can explain it better than I can, of course you can, but like within Rastafari, there's the different, I don't know what they would be called, maybe sects. Mansions.
Right.
And so that's like Naya Bingi, right? And I remember that you were saying that sometimes there can be some division within that, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about maybe why that happens?
Yeah. I mean, Rastafari, okay, so let's scale it back. Forget the word Rastafari for a moment.
Okay.
The former slaves who left the plantations in the late 1930s and ventured up into the mountains, a place called Pinnacle, that would then spend 16 years living self-sufficient off of the farming of fruits, vegetables, agriculture, and this beautiful plant named marijuana. This plant named marijuana that helped to build their nation, that helped to liberate a spiritual space in their existence. At this time, these ones were also interacting with Indian indentured laborers who were now laboring on the plantation. So now what is being formed is a brand new culture in a time when we didn't know, we didn't have a space to experience our culture because we had been laboring on the plantations for generations. So Rastafari is born at a time when everybody's seeking freedom. Okay, what this means is that it is also personalities and perspectives that are also individual, that are coming to help to form this culture.
Okay.
Right? So it would only be natural that there would be slight differences based on how people or how it manifests within people. So like the Nyabingi order flies the flag with the green at the top. Green, yellow, red. But the Bobo Shanti fly the flag with the red at the top. Red, yellow, green. And so it causes a moment of potential conflict or contention because we don't agree on which way to fly the flag. Mm-hmm. The 12 tribes of Israel will allow women to wear pants in their spaces, at their events, etc. If you go to a Nyabingi event and you do that, a beer fire for the woman. Mm-hmm. You know, again, it's personalities and perspectives, which is natural. Rastafari is one of the youngest movements, spiritual movements in the world still. Yeah. Even though it's very old. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's where it come from. And then, I mean, I can say things like the men are the one who basically formed certain elements of the culture, and so the women weren't a part of the development of that. And still, you know, but we're making some space for that still.
And can we see some of that stuff happening with humanity over vanity in the future, or?
Yeah, hopefully.
The future comes. I love that name, by the way, humanity over vanity, because I think a lot of times people are focused on what I would consider to be the wrong things. Yeah. And as I always say, there's only one God. And I think when we focus more back to God and we focus more just kind of on, like you keep mentioning, humanity, and stop looking at the external things to look for signals and say, let me disregard that person, but let me go flock to that person because they have on this or they have that. I think when we start looking more to people's hearts, I feel like we'll start to see the changes.
I don't know, people will think, oh, that's so nice to hear. What you say, you want to look into people's hearts? That's so nice. But there's a rebellious thing about love that I think people overlook and misunderstand. Like, the concept of unconditional love means that you would do anything to make sure that your loved ones are safe. What if we apply that same concept right across the board? Mm-hmm. Again, until people feel safe, one love is almost an illusion. Okay. You know, that's a hard thing to say, especially coming from my family. But like, that's really how I feel. That's why I say one love in action. Mm-hmm. One love is action, because one is not a singular number. One is plural. It takes many pieces to come together to make one. And like love, one love, it's an active word. It's an active phrase, that's all. Don't really need to go too much into it. Like love is a verb. It's not a noun, it's not descriptive. But that's how we apply it these days. Mm-hmm. You know? So again, there's something very rebellious in the idea of love. That's why when my grandfather said, could you be loved and be love? Mm-hmm. Are we listening to the question? Have we even considered what he's saying, or are we just singing the song? Like, could you be loved? Could you know what it means to experience love and turn around and be that same love? Don't let them fool you, you know? Or even try to school you. We have a mind of our own. So go to hell with what they're thinking isn't right. Love would never leave us alone. But you know the rest of it. It must come out to light, you know?
What do you think it is or was about your grandfather's music that just had this resonance worldwide and in a timeless way?
People needed to talk. People needed to hear these conversations. And between racism and Jim Crow and World War II, the remnants of World War II, and there was no space to be having these kinds of reasonings that called to character development on an individual and a national level through, you know, like...
There was so much trouble in the world.
There was so much trouble in the world. You get it? You know, but Bob Marley too, him was, you know, him was a little youth too, who was broken too. going through a lot of things. You know, people think, no, oh my God, Bob Marley, he's such a, like he was, from what I get to understand, he was a shy youth that came from a broken home, essentially, you know, and was moved from the country to town, to the ghetto, so he was a fish out of water, and he had to struggle so much. He was a broken human being who was trying to find healing for himself, and that's what the world was relating to. That's what the world was relating to.
I saw you saying that out of his pain, he was able to like bring so much healing to the world. Yeah. I think sometimes we don't realize how we can kind of use our pain or use our difficult experiences, not only to connect with others, but to kind of transmute it into something positive, like people say, like from pain to power, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's something that happens when you go through certain pain. Like it's either you break or like when you heal, you become something different. Something that you don't even recognize. You know? Yeah. So have you been seeing what's happening in Little Jamaica?
The gentrification of Little Jamaica?
Oh, wow.
Is that what you're referring to?
Okay. 'Cause, you know, earlier I was having this conversation and, you know, I was trying to be politically correct about, you know, what is happening, you know, the beautification but it really is, isn't it?
Yeah. And a lot of the, someone who I had on this podcast, actually, she was on one of the early episodes. Her name is Shireen Taylor. She actually, if I'm not incorrect, but she actually did a film on like the effects of whatever it is that's happening in Little Jamaica. And I haven't seen the film, but I know she and I did a walk through there.
Yeah.
And I know that some of the shops and stuff had to like close down because of the never ending or whatever it is that they're doing over there. And it's just like, yo, what are your thoughts on it? I just feel like if it was anywhere else, that would have been done so long ago. They would have never let it drag on like that, ever. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm just interested to know like what is the community prepared to do about it? You know, like this is something that happens and continues to happen, and like we have strength in numbers. Yeah. You know, and we're all just vexing our corner and whispering and talking about it, but like this is our history. We have to preserve it. We can't expect anybody else to understand why it's important for this community to stay alive. We can't. It doesn't matter how many Black History Months them come and take pictures and want to do events. They don't understand. So we really have to become better documentarians, better political advocates, even better writers, better legal minds. We have to develop our sense of critical thinking, analysis, and application. Yeah. As a community, as a Caribbean community.
I think a lot of times, like you were saying, we all kind of just stay in our corner. Some of the other communities are more willing to like get together and put up a set, but they know like, okay, we need to have somebody who's attacking like politically. We need to have somebody who's going to the media. We need to have some, they're very like militant about their movement. And I think if we were to collaborate in that way as it relates to Little Jamaica, I know there's been different initiatives. That's not to say that there hasn't been any initiatives to try. I think sometimes what happens is we always think that somebody else is going to fix it.
No, every time. You know how many times people have come to me and say, oh, Donisha, you're doing such a great job. We love what you're doing. Keep it up. And I'm just like, yeah, but what are you doing? You know, how can you support what is happening? What is your role? Yeah. So we have to empower each other and empower our community to make the work that we're doing lighter. Yeah. That's why this idea of charity is very different from building community. Okay. The work that it takes to build community is not what you're doing when you put up an event to take pictures and feel good about yourself and check off the box to say, yes, corporate social responsibility is covered.
Diversity and inclusion.
Perfect. We've got that locked. Okay, Mary. No, it's not that. It takes much more than that. You know, there's one of the reasons why our community cannot advocate for ourselves is because we've been told to shut up for so long. And it was our mothers and our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers who said, shh, don't take up so much space. Shh. When you're talking, don't make them hear you. Shh. Out of fear. You know, this is the impact of colonialism that still resonates today. That is why we are so afraid or don't think that we have the confidence to do it. And I think for me, because of my grandmother, just like you say, like nobody couldn't really talk tough to my grandmother. My grandmother never really asked no whole heap of questions in a way that she was being subservient. She was always graceful, always respectable. But she helped to teach me that create space for yourself. Don't wait for anybody to give it for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. One of the things that you're mentioning, I forgot what I was going to say now, but when we're talking about like activism and we're talking about, getting together, one of the things that I saw you saying in one of your interviews, and it's similar to what you're talking about Little Jamaica, you're talking about the Occupy Pinnacle movement. I don't know when that interview came out, so that might be very dated by now, but it was something happening with the same kind of like gentrification of what I believe was like a Rastafari heritage area.
Yeah, that's interesting because Occupy Pinnacle, that campaign is 10 years old. No.
Okay.
Just acknowledged the 10-year anniversary a few days ago and realizing the same thing. Like 10 years ago, we raised this issue to the government of Jamaica that the heritage lands where Rastafari as a culture was born and developed are being destroyed by private developers who are in a relationship with public officials who are representing the youth and culture at the time. And here we are 10 years later and still not much has been done. Political hands have changed. See the Bob Marley One Love movie come out the other day in Jamaica. All of the politicians, them in them glory, in them best dressed suit, out there to take pictures with the Marleys. That's great. But what about the work that needs to be done for Rastafari? Like, what about doing the right thing? Y'all are out there taking pictures about one love. Come on, man. The birthplace of the Rastafari movement has been destroyed on your watch. On your watch. How dare you? It's like the hypocrisy of it all is just mind-blowing to me. Rastafari helped to define Jamaica. Look how much money. Rastafari, not just Bob Marley. And I'm using my words very clearly here. It isn't just Bob Marley that is making all of this money for Jamaica through tourism. That is Rastafari's culture that has been appropriated and exploited to this day by these same political players who are taking pictures and pretending like they're the ones who are embracing and watch me now, man. Bob Marley tell you, never let a politician grant you a favor. So they have a whole heap of work to do when it comes down to doing the right thing for the Rastafari movement. Occupy Pinnacle was my first real insight and taste into the bitter gall that the Jamaican government feels when they think about Rastafari standing up for what we deserve.
One of the things that I saw, and it's probably like a similar, I don't know if this is just something that happens like throughout the nation in different areas, but I remember there's this one video that was going viral on social media where it was like a news piece talking about the development of hotels and stuff and how it was blocking a man from getting onto a beach that he used to go fishing, and that's how he was making his money. So he then had to go ride 3 kilometers or whatever to do the same work, and it's like nobody cared. It's just like, well, where's the money? Like, let's just build, let's just develop, but I think what happens is sometimes they're just thinking about short-term money and not the long-term problems.
It's deep. It's deep. Our people are educated to be workers. We're not educated or allowed to be thinkers and doers and innovators. No. You know what you tell those ones who are thinking and innovating? That they're bums, that they have no talent because they don't aspire to fit into these systems that you created and expect us to just fit into. We're born that still, continuously. Not about that.
Why for so long do you think the Rastafari community was like ostracized in Jamaica? I know you're talking about you weren't allowed to get locks until you turned 18 years old because your family wanted to protect you in that way.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
It was a part of the plan. It wasn't by chance. You know what is Rastafari?
Tell me.
Rastafari is one of the most powerful movements in this world. Look at what the music has done. Rastafari has created one of the largest political parties around the world by virtue of how many people relate and invest in that. But it's like we keep on partying. Reggae music, as a child of Rastafari, has liberated so many countries. Here the ones in South Africa tell you that when they were marching through the streets and they were fighting against apartheid, it was Bob Marley's songs that they were using in the streets. That's just one country. There have been many. That is what Rastafari represents. African liberation, my sister. African liberation. Black people liberation. Humanity liberation. Step beyond the color. Human beings. That is why we were ostracized for so long.
Okay. One of the things that I heard you saying, that Babylon is no longer just like the system. Babylon now is like a mentality or mindset that people carry.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
What you mean? Look at the police, them. It's an institution, but they're humans who are executing this institution. Babylon now lives in the hearts and the minds of man, in our actions. It's not just in the institutions anymore. We have the decision now. Like, protocol should never supersede humanity.
Yo, I love that.
Yeah, that's the reality.
Yeah.
Protocol should never supersede humanity, but that is what happens on a daily. Because individuals are given the power of institutions and not held accountable. You know?
Yeah. Wow. Jeez. I don't even know where to go from there. That is just, I love what you're saying, and I love to see your passion and that you do and you speak from your heart, you know? People can feel that. People can feel that.
Okay, so in we blood. When I first read it, I was like, in we blood.
Is that a typo?
In we blood. oh, in our blood.
Right.
Oh, okay. You were born here.
Yes, I was
so
born
you're
here.
First generation.
I'm actually second generation, technically, I think, because my parents were born here and then I was born here.
Okay.
And so Inwi Blood just kind of came to me as a download. I remember I was actually looking back at some of my journals, and I saw that I wrote Inwi Blood, like a TV show that shows behind the scenes of carnival and everything that it takes, all the drama and everything in the mass camps right up until they cross the stage. And I remember telling people, it's like, yo, like we should have a TV show where it shows behind the scenes in the mass camps, and like, here's the name and everything. I'm trying to give what God gave me to them because I didn't want to do the work. And then after I did my time as the face of the festival, the official brand ambassador of Toronto Caribbean Carnival, I really started recognizing that we don't have the space to like talk about what we do. We just do. Yeah. And we don't really do it together. We just, okay, you guys go do your thing. But there was no like community hub for like all of us, right? And so when I was thinking about this Inwi Blood name, I was like, oh my gosh, like, let me start a podcast and let me use this name that God gave me. And even when I had this design idea for the logo, I remember when like the logo came back to me, I got scared because I was like, oh my gosh, like it's real now. Like I have to do, like it looks so real. Like I have to do something with this now. And so it's been so awesome to see kind of the way that Inwi Blood started. It was supposed to be really an opportunity for millennials or like first and second generation people of the diaspora like myself to be able to connect back to the real like roots and culture and traditions of the Caribbean, wherever you're from, right? Yeah. To be able to connect back to that. Because I think a lot of times we don't realize how empowering it is. You know, for example, like say you're Jamaican, for you to go back to Jamaica and to learn the different parts and to interact with that, right? In a tangible way, and to learn about Rastafari and maybe recognize, oh, that's the thing that I was missing. Like that's the thing that I was feeling and I didn't understand. And now I know, because we come here in these foreign lands. Right. And I always say like our parents or grandparents, it's like they never had an exit strategy. It's like, let's just come up.
Yep.
And then it's like, but then what? And it's like we have the longing for home. And when you go back home, it's like, why did we leave this to go to that and stay there? Like, why was there no...
Right, and then we didn't plan.
No plan.
Yeah. Like, if you look at it, you know, sis, remember that slavery was abolished in 1838. What year is this now? 2024.
24. Yes, right. Correct.
It hasn't been, it it hasn't even been a full 200 years since slavery was abolished. So think about generations now. How many generations are we away from slavery? That's why we didn't have an exit plan. Like we haven't even started planning for the future yet. We're just trying to deal with now and healing now and
and undoing.
And like surviving now.
One of the things that I was talking about before too, not with you, but it was just kind of thinking about the ways that, you know, that impact of slavery on us and the way that we operate. Like you said, like, you know, people always saying, just hush, don't talk too loud for people to hear. One of the things that my friend was saying was that, you know, the reason why a lot of us are silenced or silence ourselves is because any kind of speaking up or anything would mean that you get killed or that child gets taken away from you or anything like that. So it's like, just don't even
keep by your mouth.
Right. Yeah. And so I love to see the way that I always say, and this was like another download that came to me, is like, I realized that every single one of us has a piece of this puzzle. And it's like, we need to figure out how to orient that piece and put it together and see how we can all come together, you know, for the bigger picture. Right. And I think when we start to think like that, we won't try to push away whatever it is that God gave to us and told us that this is your mission. And we'll take on whatever it is that we know in our heart we're supposed to do and take up that space, you know? And I think when we start to do that, when we start to do a lot of things, we'll start to see the results fairly quickly. I've only done this podcast for like maybe 6 months or so now, right? But I decided to take that action. I'm scared all the time. I was scared to come here. I'm like, oh my God. But it's like actually doing the work, you'll see the impact of your work, the impact of humanity over vanity, the impact of one love in action, the impact of whatever it is that your thing is, right? And I think if a lot of us were more willing to take up that space and to say like, this is who I am, this is my work, this is my mission, you know?
It's hard though. Even during the Occupy Pinnacle campaign, I wanted the artists to be more forward. I wanted the artists to be there occupying the space with me, but many ones came to me, they're like, oh yeah, good job, Nisha. Boy, you know, so I go on tour, or boy, you know, so I apply for my visa, so yeah, but I also wanted to do those things too. You know, so it's just a note to say that in this world of creating space for work to be done, we have to be graceful too, in realizing that not everybody is at the same place that we are. Yeah,
it's so hard to do sometimes because it's like, why are you not ready?
And it also takes a lot. It's like, you know, as an activist myself, I understand it's either I can't be the two things at the same time with the full passion, because it takes so much investment from both, you know?
Yeah.
But guess what? I feel like there's going to have to be a part 2 to this, because with just that reason, and as the production is giving us 5 minutes, Mark, thanks.
They're like, wrap it up.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited. I love the conversation that we're having, and I hope that it can really resonate with people and teach them, you know, a little bit, or inspire them to do whatever it is that their heart's work is. Operate from your heart, please.
You know, like that's one of the great things about the events that we'll be doing, not just this week, but like generally as Humanity Over Vanity. The intention is to create a space where you can come and explore yourself as a nation builder in a safe space. Like maybe you have something to contribute, but you've never taught a class before, you've never mentored somebody, you've never engaged, but you know, you have an idea that you might want to do a program, or like, we want to help you to facilitate that development, you know? And the truth is, it's because like, we need some more ones who can do some work, bro. You know, we don't need no more fans.
Yeah.
No more fans. We have nations to build. Like reggae music is not just supposed to go out and make you feel all right. Come on, y'all. The heck? We don't see what's going on in the world. What are we doing? It's so frustrating sometimes. And because we live in North America, we're comfortable. So we're good. We're all right. We just scroll to the next thing. We feel it for a moment and then we just scroll to the next thing, like numbing ourselves from the work that we can do, that we should do. But again, I iron sharpens iron. We're not supposed to be doing it by ourselves. It has to be collective.
Yeah.
You know, we have to help each other so we can help the world and all of that other really heartfelt, bubbly stuff. But like, it's a rebellious move, man.
And it never happens in a silo. It's never going to be just you. It always has to be you coming together with your people. And a lot of times it's just people that God will just put in your life.
Yeah.
Just a natural connection, just a natural resonance. And it's like, yo, what's the work can we do? How can we do this to push that? Or like, what's your vision? You know, I feel like as soon as everybody comes together under a one vision and a one mission, it gets so much clearer what work needs to be done. Cause it's like, this is where we're trying to go. Let's work back from there and see what we need to do to get there. But if we have no vision, then without a vision, the people perish.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, again, it might get me in some trouble, but it's the truth. We have to keep one love in context. We have to. The work is bigger than just the likes. We have to. People need it. We have to be greater than even we think we are. Our time is limited.
Yes.
Be careful about writing the story. We have to write the story. RIGHT, the story.
Yeah. I love that. I think we can wrap it up there. That was amazing.
I'm pretty sure the movie is going to be great too. For sure. They did an amazing job and I'm looking forward to seeing it and everything.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm excited for the movie to come out, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see the movie, and I'm excited to see the impact that it has.
Yeah, me too. I think it can really be used as a teaching tool, especially because of the topic.
Yeah.
You know, it's talking about a specific time in my grandfather's life when like everything was against him and he was trying to do something very important for Jamaica.
Yeah.
And even after being shot, he still stepped beyond his physical circumstances to try to symbolize something, him and everybody else. You know, so I really think that it's a great thing that Uncle Ziggy and all of the producers have done in creating this film, because it creates a tool for us to be able to really use it as a tool for peace management and crime intervention, which is where I see it can really live, you know. So
well, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to see what you guys have in store with One Love in Action. And I'm excited to continue to see the work that you will do. On a last note, one of the things that you said was that, you know, a lot of your family members are singers or musicians, and you didn't decide to sing. You decided to use your voice in a different way, you know. So I'm excited to see, and I got to see a little bit of that voice today. I'm excited to continue to see the work that you'll do, because again, I can see and I can feel that you do it from your heart, and I resonate with that. So thank you for being here.
You too. It's in our blood. It's in our blood.